State premiers overstepped the mark in Australia, and the victims were mostly ordinary people. Do state premiers see ordinary people as a threat to their power? Is that what happened?
I think it was just the exercise of power. Power is an aphrodisiac. It's attractive. People like to exercise it. Acton famously said, power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And if you give people power, they will tend to exercise it. They tend to think they know better than the rest of us. And politicians today, particularly the current selection of politicians under the system under which the two parties have captured the system of pre-selections and so on, you find that the politicians tend to look down on the rest of the people. They think they know better, so that you had that extraordinary situation in New South Wales, for example, where suddenly the minister signed a regulatory piece of paper saying that the construction industry must be closed down. And they closed it down for 2 weeks. It cost $1.25 billion. And the chief health officer said, well, I didn't advise that. We were never told who the advice came from. And it's not clear that this is a piece of regulatory material which could be authorised under the legislation.
Let's talk about federal politics. Paul Kelly had an interesting piece in The Australian today saying that Labor has essentially locked itself into a partnership with the Greens, and it will probably end in tears. Greens leader Adam Bandt has the strategic advantage and will be able to dictate terms to Albanese in many ways. David, we're talking here about two politicians who between them got about 45% of the first preference vote in the last election, but they're locked in a dysfunctional informal coalition. Does this expose flaws in our federation, do you think? Is it working or not?
I don't think it exposes flaws in the federation as such. It does expose flaws in the constitutional system. We don't have enough guarantees, and it means that we have to look more closely about how we arrange things in the federation, certainly. And the constitutional system does allow a loophole which allows a path to dictatorship, and we saw that. Now, it's impossible for Labor not to enter into some sort of understanding with the Greens. They need their numbers in the Senate, particularly in relation to certain legislation. Bandt is more logical than the Prime Minister, because Bandt says completely stop all fossil fuels. Don't sell fossil fuels overseas because they're very bad for the environment. We have the ridiculous situation on the part of the Labor Party where they stop us from having coal, for example, coal-fired power stations. They plan to close them all down. But we sell the coal to other countries who are building an enormous number of coal-fired power stations. There's no logic in that, because wherever the CO2 is, it's going to affect the climate, if it is the effector of the climate, as they claim it is, on the basis of a theory which has not been proven.
Professor Flint, thanks for your time.
Thank you.